what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, this seems to be the big one that everybody's talking about. Mike Sommerfeld and Urs Kalecinski having a little bit of back and forth on Instagram. Now, this was regarding a video that Urs had done giving his Classic Physique Olympia predictions. In this video, Urs had Ramon in first, Mike in second, Ruff Diesel in third, Logan Franklin in fourth, Niall Darwin in fifth, and in sixth place, Hozema. Now, Urs also went on his story to clarify, after all the talk, I say that Ruff Diesel is winning it. And he says, damn, how you can't just have an opinion without hurting some feelings, LOL. I said between those three, in my opinion, it's going to be super close. Everyone else could win. Depends on who peaks the best. Now, personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with what Urs said. And of course, I don't think there's anything wrong with having an opinion or making predictions for Classic Physique. I think especially considering that Urs is not competing in the Classic Physique Olympia this year. But Mike did not like any of the things that Urs had to say. And again, I think this is totally, I don't think Urs had any bad intention here. He's just giving his honest thoughts. This is his opinion. And Mike, I mean, rightfully, on paper, Mike's the favorite to win the show. Let's be real. But A, that doesn't mean he is going to win. And B, it's okay to think that somebody else might win. And I think a really good argument, especially for saying Ramon Dino is going to win, is the argument that Ramon was just off last year. And that's the only year that Mike beat Ramon. And so Urs even qualifying his statement with it's going to be super close and it depends who peaks the best, apply that to Ramon. If Ramon peaks correctly and he's not off, I think Ramon could beat Mike and has beaten Mike. So I don't even think that's a far off or a ludicrous opinion to have. I think that's a totally reasonable thing to say. And then, you know, looking at the pictures that we got recently of Ruff Diesel looks incredible. And it's very much worth pointing out that Terrence Ruffin was not at the Olympia last year where Mike placed second. He was not one of the guys that Mike beat last year at the Olympia that made him on paper the favorite to win this Olympia. So the fact that he wasn't there, I don't think it's fair to say Mike automatically beats him because he won the Olympia last year or because he won the Arnold. Two shows that Ruff Diesel didn't compete in. So I think you can certainly say that Mike's the favorite because he won those two shows. I think that's fair, but I also don't think you can automatically say he beats Ruff Diesel because he won those two shows because Ruff Diesel didn't do either of those shows. However, to be fair, Mike has beaten Terrence before at the 2022 Mr. Olympia where Terrence was off. Mike was higher than him when Terrence was sixth. But the last time that Terrence and Mike faced each other was 2023. Terrence was fifth and a little bit off. Mike was eighth. So Terrence beat Mike by 3 placings the last time they competed in the Olympia together. I think that's also worth pointing out. And I don't think that 2023 version of Terrence is nearly as good as this 2025 version. So just to be clear, I think Urs can have any opinion that he wants. I don't think he was disrespectful about it. And I think the opinions were based in reality and have some validity to them. But then in the comment section, so this was the comment section of the Who is the Best Bodybuilder post summarizing Urs' predictions. This is where you saw Mike respond. So Mike commented there and said, great support from Germany with a hand wave emoji. And he said, well, then we need to show some guys who's winning the show. And then Urs responds and says, it's just my opinion, LOL. You don't even live in Germany, with a laughing face. So, I mean, really what this amounts to is Mike is butthurt that Urs doesn't have him winning and also thinks that because Urs is from Germany and he is as well, he automatically has to think that Mike is going to win, which I don't think is valid at all. I think Urs can think whatever he wants. And I think like this particular back and forth, even though I wouldn't necessarily call it a legitimate beef or like anything super serious, I think this is a very, very common thing that happens in bodybuilding, especially from my perspective. When you predict that a guy's not going to win a show, it hurts a lot of people's feelings. It hurts their feelings, and they react like this to it. Although I think, honestly, like this generation of bodybuilders, that's, you know, a lot of guys that are like 30 or late 20s, like guys that grew up on social media. I feel like this generation of bodybuilders in general has handled the social media aspect of bodybuilding better than previous generations or older old school guys. I don't really see a lot of the modern guys going after, a commentator or going after people for their opinions on their physiques. I feel like I just don't see a lot of that anymore, where maybe, 5-10 years ago, you saw a lot of that when the guys were a bit older, but all these guys grew up on social media and probably watched a lot of the commentary stuff themselves. So it really does seem these days that a lot of guys don't really get butthurt about things like this, especially something as innocuous as, just Urs not predicting Mike to win. But he also said it would be close between all three of those guys. I mean, it's not like I just didn't find anything that Urs said to be insulting or over the line, or everything he said was totally valid. And even if it was insulting, even if it was rude, even if it was very rude, insulting towards Mike, which it wasn't, I think he's still totally within his right to say it. But on top of that, Urs would never do that because Urs is like one of the nicest guys in the industry. Urs is happy to be here. That's what Urs is. He's not looking to pick a fight with anybody or disrespect anybody. Urs is just grateful to be able to compete and win. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this in the comments below. I saw a lot of people, I was kind of surprised, honestly, reading some of the comments on these posts on Instagram. A lot of people actually seemed pretty critical towards Urs, like saying it was insane that he would not predict Mike to win. And I actually viewed this before I read the comments. My view was, this is a bad look for Mike. I don't think it's a bad look for Urs at all. I think it's a bad look for Mike to get this upset about it. And I just think it's a bad look to say, oh, well, we're both from Germany, so you should be predicting that I win because of that. I think like that rationale is way worse than Urs's rationale for not predicting him to win. And really, even in a roundabout way, I mean, Urs kind of said maybe he will win. He kind of said it's anybody's game. Now, next up in the news, tomorrow's show, the Tsunami Pro. One of the guys that we've talked about going into that show expected to do well, Louis Breed. We saw him compete at the Europa show. We saw him compete at the Italy show. Unfortunately, Louis Breed put up a post today saying that he has to pull out of the show last minute because of an illness that he's been dealing with, which is really unfortunate because I really do think Louis is one of the guys right now that would have done really well in this show, and I wish him a speedy recovery. I think it's unfortunate that he's not going to be able to compete, and I think this does kind of make it an even stronger case, though, for this being probably the show that Quentin's going to finally win. Now, next up in the news, the latest physique update from Patrick Torr of Keone Pearson, showing off an incredibly impressive back. Now, Patrick has also gone on the record to say that the Prague show is going to be the show that determines the future of Keone's career. So assuming if he does really well in Prague and wins the show, that's going to mean he's going to be on a trajectory to continue competing in Open. But man, Keone's back is out of this world. The improvements that Keone has made, I mean, man, a few years ago when Keone placed pretty poorly at the 212 Olympia, I want to say 2021-ish. In 2021, yeah, Keone was 14th place at the Olympia. Everybody was writing him off, saying he's done, saying he's never going to win the Olympia title. And I remember this very vividly because for years, even at that point, I had been saying that Keone is the future. I had been hyping him up, saying how great his genetics are, that he's going to win. I've been saying Keone is going to win the 212 Olympia since he switched to 212. But I remember that year because there were so many comments on my videos like, look, you were wrong about Keone. He's never going to make it. He's never going to win the title. And just look at this update and look at Keone's career, look at his Olympia wins. It's just so impressive to me the way that Keone was able to turn things around from 2021. Because if you guys remember that year when Keone was 14th, it was pretty disappointing as a Keone fan. And that was kind of the narrative, is that Keone is done. He's never going to win the Olympia title. He's overrated, all that stuff. And look at the conversation now. Soon to be, I think, 3-time 212 Olympia champ. And soon to be, maybe, one of the best open bodybuilders in the world. I think right out of the gate, it's tough to say going straight from the 212 Olympia to an open show without having a real offseason to put some size on for open, I think he's going to do well, and I think he's probably going to win the show. But with some time, with an offseason, with added size, I think Keone will become one of the best open bodybuilders in the world, and maybe one of the best cross-divisional champions of all time. I think he's going to follow in the footsteps of Derek Lunsford, but in my opinion, I think Keone can do more than Derek did. And I'm just really happy to see the conversation around Keone now and how positive and optimistic it is, because I always think back to that 2021 Olympia where he placed 14th and just how negative everybody was on Keone that year. And now there's a lot of people like just straight up looking past the 212 Olympia this year, just assuming he's going to win it, and they're looking past that and saying, I think Keone can win the Open Olympia. I'm seeing that discussion a lot. And it makes me really happy to see that, because Keone is one of these guys that had tremendous potential, and he's one of these guys that is actually living up to it and actually realizing that potential. And I think it's a really incredible thing to watch as a bodybuilding fan. So shout out to Keone, man. And the final story that I've got for you guys today, the latest physique update from GoodVito. And man, I was really impressed by this side chest. One of my criticisms of GoodVito, a lot of times that we've seen him compete recently, is in poses like the side chest. I feel like his chest kind of flattens out a little bit and loses some of that fullness. In this picture, I think he's brought up his chest in this downtime that we haven't seen him. His chest, to me, looks fuller, improved. His condition is crazy here. Forget about GoodVito having a sore throat or being sick. This is a crazy side pose. He looks great in this picture. The side chest looks like it's came up a lot for him. I don't know if he's hitting the pose a little bit differently or something, but this was a pose where I felt like it was kind of weaker for him because of the chest. But now with a full-looking upper body, a full-looking chest, and that side leg, man, these side poses are gnarly for him now. Because, of course, with the legs, he always had the lower body looking crazy from the side. But now that his upper body really looks like it's kind of starting to match that thick, full look that his lower body has in these side shots, man, that is a dangerous, dangerous side chest. I think GoodVito is going to do some damage at the Olympia this year. I really do. I think you talk about guys like Neckzilla. I think GoodVito is going to be the guy that makes the biggest Olympia debut impact out of anybody. I mean, I saw this update posted today, and I was impressed. I was like wowed by this. I was impressed by this. This is a really impressive shot for him. And typically, I don't think his side chest is the strongest because, like I said, I feel like his chest flattens out. But he looks great in this pose, man. I think he's going to be very, very dangerous, even considering that this is taken in some gnarly goon light. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's going to wrap it up for the video. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.